Welcome guys, it's happy to have you on board. And if it's your first time, consider subscribing. There's great content on the way. And hit the bell notification so that you don't miss anything. Now we have made an AWS account. We have also created and deleted an S3 bucket as well. Now you can store files on S3 the way it is meant to be used. You also should know that the more data you store in S3 and the longer you store it there, the more it will cost. However, if you created your AWS account less than a year ago, you get free space on S3 thanks to the free tier, so you can experiment without paying anything. If you want to know more, check out the previous video. So let's start experimenting. We'll start by opening the bucket that we created. You can select the bucket by clicking on its row in the buckets list. But in this case, we want to open it by clicking on the name of the bucket. As you can see, the bucket is empty. So S3 is giving us information on how to get started. It's suggesting that we upload an object. Set the object bottom, properties, and set object permission. S3 refers anything you can put into a bucket as an object, whether that's a file, a folder, or any other data you want to upload. We're going to upload and download objects, but we won't worry about object properties or permissions just yet. To upload a new file, you can either click on the Get Started button at the bottom or on the Upload button on the top left. Next, click on the Add File button to select which file you want to upload to your bucket. You can select one file or several at once. I got this handy image right here. Perfect. Why don't we put this in the S3 bucket? I'll just click on the Add File and select the image file from the desktop. And now S3 is ready to upload the file. I could click on Add More Files to add more files to this upload. Or I could click on the next button, configure some details about how we should store these files. But for now, let's just do the simple thing. Click on the Upload button. You'll notice that S3 shows a progress bar for when the files are uploaded. But it completed almost instantly. It looks like I'm on a fair internet connection. Now I can see the files in the bucket. Just like with the bucket list we saw before, you can click on the row of the file to select it. Or I can click on the file name to open it. Opening the file in the bucket isn't very exciting, but you can see some information like the last activity date and the file size. You can also click on the download button to download a copy of the archive. Hey, it's the same file I've uploaded, is it? To go back to the list of files in the bucket, you can click on the name of the bucket above the file name. You can also go back to the list of buckets by clicking on the Amazon S3 link that's next to that. Let's go back into the bucket and create a folder so that we can organize files in the bucket. Just click on the Create Folder button, then type in the name of the folder and click Save. As you can see, we can put space and special characters into your folder name if you want. Just like with the files, you can click on the selected and click on the name to open it. You can upload files and folders if you want to. It works the same way, but for now, let's go back up. You can upload any file you want to an S3 bucket, not just pictures. I'm going to upload an audio file and a video file as well. These are larger files, so they take a little longer to upload to S3. The progress bar tells me how close we are to being done. When you no longer need to keep a file on S3, you can delete it. I don't think that I need that favorite picture folder after all, so I'll delete it. First, select the file or the folder you want to delete like this. Then click on the More button to find the delete option. Notice that there's an undo delete option as well, but it's misleading. You can't use it unless you have enabled visionary of your S3 bucket, which makes using S3 more expensive. That's another topic for another course. So for now, pretend that the undo delete option doesn't exist. When you delete something from S3, it goes and you can't get it back. When you want to remove something from S3, it will show you the confirmation screen so that you can double check that you're deleting exactly what you expect. When you're double checked, click on the delete button. There are just a few other things you need to know about files on S3. First of all, There's no limit to the number of records you can store in a bucket. You can toss in as many as you like, larger or smaller, and S3 will happily accept them. S3 can hold files up to 5 TB in size, so you probably don't need to worry about uploading files that are too big for S3 to handle. If you feel like playing around, then it's fine. However, the second thing you need to know is that you can overwrite files in S3 by uploading a new file with the same name. If you have a file in S3 with a particular name and uploading a new file with the same name to the same folder of the same bucket, then the new file will overwrite the old file. So be cautious as it wouldn't warn you. Lastly, S3 will start calculating cost from the moment that you upload a file until that file is deleted from S3. S3 also charge based on how often the file is uploading files to Amazon. S3 is an excellent way to keep backup of your important private folders. But S3 can also share your files with others if you ask it to. We all tried to send a file to a friend through email and got an error message saying the file is too large. Instead, you can upload that file to S3, make it publicly accessible, and email a link to it so that your friend can download it from S3 and you can still keep your private files secure at all time. To do that, we use the concept called permissions. It's something also known as access control lists or ACLs in short. The basic idea is if you own something, you can decide how to share it with others. When you're thinking about permissions, it's useful to think of it as a grid. One axis is the who axis. Who do you want to share with? The other axis is the how axis. How can they share with you? The simplest way to divide the who axis is to lump everyone else into one group. It's you against the world. And the easiest way to split the how axis is to talk about reading data and writing data. Here is how permission on your S3 bucket looks like by default. You are allowed to read and write information in your bucket, but no one else can see this. Here is how permissions on your S3 bucket looks like by default. You are allowed to read and write information in the bucket, but no one else can. In this case, writing data means modifying the bucket, uploading new files, moving files around, deleting files. In this case, writing data means modifying the bucket, uploading new file, moving files around and deleting files. There's also a different set of permissions for each files in a bucket. However, file permissions are only concerned with reading data, not writing data. Right now, the owner has all the permissions and the world has none. What happens if we change that? If we give out the read permission for the bucket, then others can see which files are in the bucket, but they can't download any files from the bucket. If you give out the read permission for a file in a bucket, then others will be able to download that file. And if you give out the write permission for the bucket, then others can modify what is in the bucket, including uploading new files or deleting existing files. Be careful with giving out the write permission because you're still responsible for paying AWS for the files that others upload into your bucket. So let's see how we handle these permissions in practice. I'll open up my bucket and you can see at the top of the page there are 4 tabs: Object, Priority, Permission and Management. Object are files and folders and we have seen how to handle those. We're going to ignore Properties and Management for now and click on Permission. You've got a grid here just like you saw earlier. There are 3 options for who can get permission. Codebig, well that's me, any authorized AWS users and everyone. We are going to ignore that any authorized AWS users because it's a more complicated form of everyone option. And for how to access, we have got the read and write for both object access and permission access. Permission access is the ability to read and write permissions. If you have the potential to write permission, then you can give yourself and others whatever permission you'd like. That's a powerful thing, but it's not related to making files public. So we are going to talk about it in a different video. For now, I'm going to make any changes to the tab. Instead, I'm going to go back to the Object tab and click on the file in the bucket. When I open the file in a bucket, you can see that there's a permission tab here as well. It looks the same, but it's for permission on the file instead of on the bucket. Just as we talked about earlier, the write permission doesn't apply for permission on file. To write data into the S3 bucket, you must write permission on the bucket, not on the file. The read permissions are necessary, and it determines whether people can download the file. Let's give it a try. For now, we'll leave the permission as their default. Notice that everyone group does not have a read access to the file. On the Overview tab, there's a link to the file. What happens if we open that link? That doesn't look like CodeBig logo at all. Instead, S3 is showing an error message, access denied. You see, I can download the file from S3 while I'm on S3 Management Console because I'm logged in. And S3 knows who's asking the file. That link is in a public link that anyone can use. S3 doesn't know that it's me, so it uses the everyone permission to determine if I can download the file. As we just saw, that everyone group does not have the authorization to read the file. So S3 won't let me download it using that public link. But you may have noticed this helpful link making public button while I was showing you around S3. If I click that button, I'm going to change the permission for me for success. Can you guess what has changed? Let's look back at the permission tab. Now, everyone group has the permission read. And if I refresh that public link, hey, it worked. Now, anyone can download this file using this link. But what if you made the file public by accident? Well, that's easy to fix. Just click on the everyone group and then uncheck the read permission under the object access. Then save and I'll refresh again. Great. Now it's private again, just like it was before. You can modify permissions as much as you'd like. There's another nifty thing I want to show you. What if we change the permission of the bucket instead of the individual file? I'll just go to my bucket permission, click on the everyone group, check the read permission and click the save. What did that do? What do you think that did? I'll just show you. You see the structure of this URL? It has the name of the bucket in it, CodeBig course, as it also has the file name in it, image.png. I'm going to take off the file name so we just have the bucket. Now I'm getting a list of every file that's in the bucket. See, there is the image.png file that we were looking at. If you make this public, then anyone can see what files are in the bucket, although they may not be able to download the file. If you don't want this information to be public, you can go back to the bucket permission and turn it off. See, now the content of the bucket are private again. S3 lets you store files privately or share them with the world. Grants make it easy to specify which files should be public and which files should be private. And unfortunately, if you make a mistake, it's easy to fix. Making records public on S3 is an excellent way to share them with others, even the files that are too large to send via an email. Looking back, we have come a long way. You now have the complete knowledge of getting started with AWS and explore more information into other services offered by AWS. Thanks for following along the video, guys. You could always show your support by liking, sharing, and subscribing, or by heading over to patreon.com/teamcodebit. You can find the link to all of these in the description below. So feel free to check out our other videos. Keep supporting us, keep coding big, and see you in the next video, guys.